So recently I've decided to quit my job and focus all of my attention on being a full-time magician and magician-y video making man. This risky decision actually paid off, until it stopped paying off. I was getting a decent amount of regular work towards the end of the year, but as soon as it hit January, all that work just dropped off and I had nothing. About a year ago, I wanted to try and do street shows, so I bought all the kit that I needed to do it. I bought a speaker, bought a microphone, got all the stuff I needed, and never did it. The honest reason is that I was just too scared to go out and perform. I thought it would be tough, I thought that the other performers would be hostile, and I thought that I would suck. And all those things turned out to be true, as you will find out now. I hit this point in February where I wasn't making enough money to pay rent, so I had to try doing street shows. So I thought if I was going to do it, I might as well document the process. So presenting to you now, Stephen tries street shows. We got to Leicester Square, going to do some street shows. Another guy's rocked up and there's a queue forming. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just going to set up some stuff and do some card tricks and hope for the best, so. I had no idea what to do, so I rocked up to Leicester Square with a sign that I'd made myself that said world's best card trick and decided just to wing it. I was essentially trying to clickbait the people of Leicester Square. I thought that if I put the sign on my table and just stood there for a while, eventually someone would come over and be like, world's best card trick, I'll watch some magic. That didn't really work. Looking back, part of the problem is that I'm giving off this quite needy vibe. I'm standing there with this face on, waiting for people to come over and watch me do magic, and it just looks like I don't really know what I'm doing. Besides, if I was doing the world's best card trick, I probably wouldn't be stood in the streets doing the world's best card trick. I kept trying and eventually got the odd person to come along and see a quick card trick, but they didn't tend to stick around for long enough to help me build a crowd. Eventually, through some kind of fluke, I got a fairly large crowd, then did some magic, hatted at the end, and actually made some money. That one moment just gave me that little bit of confidence that made me think, if I can do it then, I can get the hang of this. Day one, in general, went pretty well, but the stuff that came up in the following days reminded me why I was worried about doing this in the first place. On day two, I realised that I got pretty lucky on day one. Not regarding the performance, but mainly regarding the performers. On the first day, there was only one other performer in the queue, and he was really nice to me. On the second day, lots of other performers came to the pitch, and they weren't particularly happy to see me. The issue is, they're there to make a living. So the more performers that come to the pitch, the less time everyone has to perform, and the less money everyone makes. And that would be okay, that's just part of the job, if it wasn't for the fact that I sucked. All they saw was the new guy that was struggling to get a crowd and delivering a pretty mediocre show that's just wasting the time that they could be making money. So that caused a little bit of friction between me and some of the other performers. Not all of them, but some of them. Over the course of the coming days and weeks, I had performers tell me to take a day off and call me greedy for being there so much. When it was my turn to perform, I had one guy pick up my stuff and move it off the pitch when I was getting ready to perform. I've had people shout at me this close to my face and moments when I thought I was going to get knocked out. I'm by no means a confrontational person, but I learned that if I didn't stick up for myself, I would get walked over. One time, I saw a performer kick another performer's guitar across the road. Things could get really hostile. I could make a whole series of videos on street performer stories. In fact, if you want to see that, let me know in the comments and I might make them. And then there were the technical problems. I started getting problems and faults with my equipment, which meant that I had to buy more equipment, and I really wasn't in the financial situation where I could afford to spend money, so that just made the whole thing really tough. I was learning to be a street performer on hard mode, but I needed the money. So every day I would arrive at about 11 AM, perform until about 9 PM, a few hours after the other performers had gone home because it was so cold, and just work really, really hard. When you need to pay rent, your motivation to work is pretty high, so I was really determined. Luckily for me, in the first week, I managed to earn enough money to pay my rent, and this was so lucky, because if there'd been more performers, maybe I wouldn't have been able to. If it had rained that week, I would have been screwed. I got so lucky. And over time, with practice and persistence, I got a little bit better, and a little bit better, and I started to really enjoy myself. I've mentioned hostile performers, but I've also met a lot of really nice performers, people I enjoy hanging with, people that if I hadn't met and had their support, I probably would have given up doing shows. The weather improved, my shows improved, and now, months on, I'm really starting to get the hang of it. And one thing that I did not expect is how many of you lovely human beings said hi to me after shows and came and watched me perform. I'll never forget this one teenager that came up to me after I was doing a show in Oxford Street, and he tipped me really generously, and then he let me know that him and his family were over from America. They were just in England for 2 days, and then they were wandering down Oxford Street, and he saw me perform, and he watches my videos online. I'm just super grateful that I have you guys as an audience, let alone the fact that people come up to me and say hi. it feels really great. So thank you very much. There are two things that I want you to take away from this video. The first is that certain situations are terrifying. There might be things that you want to do, but you're just really scared to do them. But if you feel that fear and you go out and do that thing anyway, you'll get comfortable with that fear. And then over time, you'll get more comfortable with that situation. And then before you know it, that thing that really scared you just won't be that scary anymore. The second thing is that if you suck at something but work hard enough at it, you'll get the hang of it. I don't care how much you think that you don't have any talent, that is irrelevant. If you persist and you work hard at something, you will get the hang of it. Street shows is a totally different ballgame to doing magic, and it's a whole skill I had to try and learn, and I'm still trying to master in itself. And whoa, it has not been easy, but it's been really worth it.
Thank you.